Pokemon Legends Arceus has introduced several new Pokemon such as Hisuian forms like Zoroark and Arcanine, or outright new Pokemon like Cleaver and Overqwil. But today, I've decided to rank the top 5 strongest Pokemon in Legends Arceus. This will be exclusively talking about new Pokemon that are only new to these games, so Pokemon such as Empoleon, for example, that gained Roost as a buff, will not be in this list, despite having gained access to new moves in these games. However, if you'd like to see a list going over old Pokemon getting buffs, let me know in the comments below. I'd be more than happy to cover that. Finally, I'll also be leaving off anything that's blatantly going to Ubers, mainly the new Dialga and Palkia forms, as these barely changed at all, and the gap between these Pokemon and our third place Pokemon, aka the Pokemon that's topping today's list, is way too extreme to make this an actually balanced list. With that said, let's get started off with our number 5 Pokemon. Our number 5 Pokemon today is actually one of the first Pokemon we saw in these games, being Cleaver. Cleaver is a new evolution of Scyther in these games, and just like Scizor, it's making a strong name for Bug-type Pokemon. Cleaver is an immense 135 attack, while also having a decent 85 speed on top of that. Where Scizor would be your priority user, Cleaver would probably be making a strong Scarf user. As of writing the script, one of Cleaver's abilities seems to be Sheer Force, which in tandem with moves such as Rock Slide and Psycho Cut, will be able to shatter teams. This also was lucky enough to earn Close Combat, which having coverage for Steel types is essential due to its stab of Bug and Rock both being walled by a majority of Steel type Pokemon. One area where Cleaver will suffer comes from its diversity. While Cleaver has options such as Sword Stance to utilize setup variants, these will be difficult to achieve due to its rather mediocre defensive typing. You can pair this with Sticky Webs though to alleviate this, but typically teams prefer avoiding running one Bug type, let alone 2. The 85 speed with Sheer Force definitely will share competition, however, with the currently existing Pokemon being Nidoking. However, what Cleaver will shine is by being a physical abuser of this ability. Other physical attackers that have this ability, such as Conkeldurr, typically opt out for other abilities, so Cleaver could carve its own niche in the tier thanks to this. While I don't see Cleaver being some top tier Pokemon in OU or anything, it's definitely a Pokemon that under the right hands could do some damage. Our number 4 option in today's list is our Hisuian pseudo-legendary, being Hisuian Gudra. Hisuian Gudra is quite literally just an outright better version of Gudra. The Steel Dragon typing, while also having a massive increase in its defense to base 100, is absolutely huge. While I had to lose a bit of speed and HP to do so, I think this ultimately will prove worthwhile. Hisuian Gudra has strong offenses in both stats, however I think due to the coverage, this will shine as a tank with special coverage for the most part. Having access to moves such as Ice Beam, Thunderbolt, Flamethrower, Draco Meteor, and Steel Beam will make this nearly impossible to switch around without scouting a couple turns. The only ability we've seen so far is Overcoat, however, I think this could be a strong Pokemon no matter how good or bad its ability is off its typing and coverage alone. I could truthfully see this being a really strong UU Pokemon, or maybe even landing itself in OU. With base 60 speed, this will be a strong asset to Trick Room teams due to its immense coverage, as it's a dragon that can also punish fairies pretty well. I think most people will opt to run the Assault Vest on this, with the occasional Life Orb or Choice Specs. Assault Vest will help utilize its typing and immense special defense to the best of its abilities defensively, whereas Life Orb and Choice Specs will help this Pokemon function easier as a breaker. While the coverage and stats are great overall, base 110 special attack only goes so far when trying to break through opponents. Hisuian Gudra, I think, only has room to improve upon my initial thoughts. However, at the very least, I can't see his Pokemon ranking possibly below number 4 on today's list. Number 3 on today's list is a Hisuian form for one of the most forgettable Pokemon from Generation 5, being Hisuian Lilian. Hisuian Lilian is now a grass and fighting typing with a strong attack and speed stat. Having moves such as Recover, Drain Punch, Close Combat, Poison Jab, and Leaf Blade, Hisuian Lilian is not a Pokemon to be messed with. If this wasn't deadly enough, Hisuian Lilian also has the ability Hustle, which makes it a destructive Pokemon to switch into. If you aren't a flying type, good luck trying to switch in on Hisuian Lilian, and even if you are, you need to make sure you'll also resist fighting. A majority of flying types are neutral to the fighting typing due to secondary typings, so unless your Pokemon such as Togekiss or Tornadus that actually resist close combat, good luck trying to switch in on this Pokemon. The biggest issue I could see with Hisuian Lilian would be the accuracy drop from Hustle. While this has moves like Aerial Ace to combat this, overall, most of its primary offense moves are only hitting with 80% accuracy thanks to Hustle. If Hisuian Lilian had something a bit more reliable for an ability, I'd probably have made this the number 2 Pokemon on my list. I think at worst this ends up being banned from UU, if not actually attaining a spot as a decent threat in the OU metagame. This basically to me functions in a similar vein to Kartana, but instead of having Beast Boost with low attack moves to actually check fairies, you'll have Hustle and the ability to check steals with a decent attack and speed with actually high base power moves. I'm mostly comparing this to Kartana because its best sets will probably either be Choice Scarf or Life Orb with 4 attacks, as it has a similar speed stat to Kartana, while also being a strong physical grass type. You could probably pair this with a grassy surge Pokemon such as Rillaboom or Tapu Bulu in order to truly wreak havoc, which is why I think this Pokemon will probably be number 3 on today's list. Our runner-up on today's list is another new evolution, being Hisuian Sneasel's new evolution, Sneezler. I know the name sounds like a bit of a joke, but this Pokemon is anything but a joke. The poison fighting typing this Pokemon already has gives off a strong combination to combat both fairies and steels, which are some of the best typings just in general competitive, but especially in the OU tier. Pairing this with 120 base speed and 130 attack, you have the makings of a menace in the OU tier. Sneezler has access to moves such as Close Combat, Drain Punch, Poison Jab, Sword Dance, and Shadow Claw, which already gives you 2 really amazing sets. For one, Choice Band with those 4 attacks being Shadow Claw, Poison Jab, Drain Punch, and Close Combat would allow you a rather strong coverage set. While I wish we had access to Knockoff, Shadow Claw at the very least will provide coverage to the 4 times weakness that you have being Psychic types. With this set of coverage, you'll be able to hit every single Pokemon that exists for at least neutral damage, if not super effective. You could also get rid of one of the fighting type options for Sword Stance though, and enable Sneezler as a sweeper instead of a breaker. Sneezler's greatest hindrance would come from the currently leaked ability being Poison Touch. I won't act like Weavile had any good abilities, and at the very least this is an upgrade for the evolution. However, I would have loved to see something at least a little bit more over the top, seeing as this is a new evolution for Sneasel. If nothing else, off the stats and typing alone, I can't see the world where this Pokemon is not an easy OU Pokemon. I wish I gave this Sucker Punch or some other form of physical priority to help against Scarf Pokemon, or even just Pokemon that outpace base 120 speed, but even with the lack of priority and a strong ability, I do think this is a pretty clear-cut Pokemon for OU, and it's something you're going to really have to start respecting in the OU tier when you're building teams in the future. Finally, with one of the strongest Pokemon in Pokemon Legends Arceus being Anemoris. I have to preface though, this is mostly due to its incarnate form, as I think the Varian form would have probably been left off this list altogether. If it ends up getting recovery outside of just Draining Kiss when transferable to any of the future games where there will be a competitive scene, this will potentially give Varian form some actual use, but for now, I think this is really not worth using. Incarnate form, on the other hand, will be a very obnoxious Pokemon to battle. With a strong offensive stats of 115 physical attack and 135 special attack, paired with a strong base speed of 106, this will be an immensely powerful teammate. Varian Flying allows at least the ability to damage one of the previously mentioned Pokemon in today's list, such as Hisui and Lilian, while also at least hitting Hisui and Gudra for neutral damage. Not only this, but the speed tier allows for you to outpace some common OU staples such as Garchomp, which resides at base 102. Varian Flying is also really strong defensively, as it provides 2 immunities to some of the most common typings in the meta, being Ground and Dragon, which will prove extremely vital for this Pokemon's success. Anemoris has 2 abilities that seem to be confirmed so far for its incarnate form, being Healer and Contrary. Contrary seems like it won't be really useful as of right now though, but that hasn't really proven to be a big deal in my opinion, as the coverage should carry this Pokemon pretty easily. The physical options it has already are okay, since we have moves such as Play Rough and Zen Headbutt. If this were to obtain acrobatics in future games, Contrary with physical sets could end up actually being phenomenal in VGC. With moves such as Acrobatics, Zen Headbutt, Play Rough, and Protect with the Citrus Berry, you could actually do some decent damage. I think though that the special set will remain the best set for singles, as it has strong options such as Calm Mind, Draining Kiss, Moonblast, Mystical Fire, Earth Power, and Sludge Bomb. I think the best set here would be Calm Mind with Moonblast, Mystical Fire, and Earth Power. You'll want Earth Power and Mystical Fire as they help cover practically every weakness you would fight, especially in the Steel department. Earth Power also helps against Rock, Poison, and Electric types that will threaten you, whereas Mystical Fire is mostly for the Ice types, as well as to easier time setting up on special attackers. Overall, Anemoris, in my opinion, has the tools to be one of the next big Pokemon in singles, and I think this will only become more apparent once it's officially usable in the metagame. Well, that's my personal list for today's top 5 strongest Pokemon in Legends Arceus. I know we obviously left off Dog and Palkia, but as I mentioned in the intro, they're clearly a huge step above the top 5 that we have otherwise, so I didn't really think it would be fair to actually list these Pokemon all together. What do you guys think of my list though? And do you think there are any Pokemon that I missed? Let me know in the comments down below, as I'd love to discuss your guys' thoughts in the video. If you enjoyed it, leave a like on the video as it helps the channel out a lot, and subscribe if you want to stay tuned for more content like this. Shout out to Iyokuu for editing this video, I really appreciate his help with this, as well as to our channel members being Zeke0, Josh aka Ultra Player, Rika Hashizora, Mia, and Randy Chappa, as they all of course help support the channel and help me pay for people to help edit these kind of videos that I'm not as comfortable doing. With that said, I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, peace out guys.